So I need you to go ahead and get into your science Moodle. Yesterday we had all kinds of awful tech issues. The internet was not a happy camper yesterday. So let's see if we have better luck today. Hopefully everybody has been able to get the Flexbook to work. Because I'm going to be showing you today how you can use the Flexbook, your notes, to then complete your assignment about unpacking, explaining the Ngss. Everything's working so far? Awesome. So if you scroll down in your Moodle, you will see at the end of Unit 2 there are actually more Flexbooks that I have now uploaded. Your Ngss talks about electricity, magnetism, electromagnetics, and gravity. So you now have a Flexbook for each of those topics that you can use as a resource as you are both working to explain the Ngss and as you are working to do your project. If yesterday you were successful in being able to join CK12, then you hit Electricity Flexbook, it should take you to this screen. If you do not get this screen, if instead you get something that looks like an ad for CK12, across the top here you should have that red join button. Click that. Then you get a screen about how to sign up. You're going to sign up using your school Google account. So make certain over here is your person that it is your Google school account that you're using. So if you haven't signed into the Flexbook yet, you hit the join button, sign up using Google. Then you're going to get a window and it's going to ask for details. It wants to know, are you a teacher or a student? You're going to put student. The zip code for Springdale is 72762. And you can put your 9th grader, because this is a 9th grade class. CK12 has to verify that you are a student. So you're going to get a window that's saying, can you verify your email address? Just tell it okay. It's not sharing any information. You're going to get a message saying, welcome to CK12. And that's their verification that you are in fact a student. So once you go through all of those, you may have to hit the back button. You may have to go back into Moodle and hit the Electricity Flexbook one more time, and you should get a screen like I have. The electricity worksheets are two different components. The worksheets will not be for a science grade. Those are there to help you have a self-assessment. After you skim through, and I'm not asking you to read cover to cover the Flexbook. That's not what it's designed for. It's not a textbook, and I'll show you some differences. You might, and I strongly recommend that you do, look at those worksheets and take the assignments and answer them, because if you can't answer these worksheets, you're not ready to do your project. So those are a self-assessment tool. Inside of Chrome, blue is you, and you go. So you have an introductory paragraph talking about electricity. Then these chapter outlines, you can think of those as like sections in a textbook. So electrical charge is the first thing we're going to be looking at. You can search this digital tool. You do not do a search for something inside of a web page where you see the magnifying glass. Whenever you see the magnifying glass, that's doing a search of a part of the web that is more than just your page. To search just your page is the Control F feature. And hopefully you remember from the Ngss, which is your projects, numbers 3, 4, and 5, it talks a lot about electric fields. So you just do Control F. You then get a separate search box. These up and down arrows are how you navigate through it. And it's going to take you to where you see fields. And it's going to be highlighted for you. So here's a whole paragraph explaining electric fields. By using that search feature, that's how you're going to skim this as a resource instead of reading it cover to cover like you normally do with a textbook. It's not designed. I'm not intending it to be a textbook that you're going to be reading all of it. So now it would be extremely helpful if you had your notes open and you could be taking notes about what an electric field is. That's where the splitter comes in that I showed you yesterday. That way you can have your notes as a separate screen, not as a tab. Tabs are these things across the top. Screens, if you go down to your Chrome, those are all different screens I have running right now. Inside each of those screens, I probably have 3 or 4 tabs open. So don't get tabs and screens confused. There are different ways that you can show multiple things on a Chromebook, but if you don't have this installed right here, the extension, you're really looking at tabs, not screens. So you could have open your notes and at the same time be looking at the Flexbook. They've actually done some university studies about students taking notes. And here was the result. So they had 100 students read a text online, just like this Flexbook over here on the left, and take notes by just doing copy and paste. Then they sent them home, and a week later they brought them back. They gave them 15 minutes to look at their notes, and they took the test. 80% of them failed that test. Then they had 100 students come in. They read the exact same online text, but for their notes, they were not allowed to use copy and paste. For their notes, they had to reword in their own words what they had read. They went home. A week later, they came back and took the exact same test as the first group. They had the exact same 15 minutes to look at their notes, and 80% of them made an A or a B. So copy and paste basically does nothing for you. You already have mastered copy and paste. Using that for notes is not going to help you any. But reading the material and then putting it in your own words, that is how you get to be an A and a B level student. So let's look at how you would do that. So here on the left is information about electric fields. Electric force is exerted over a distance, so charged particles do not have to be in contact in order to exert force over each other. That's because each charged particle is surrounded by an electric field. And now they put electric field in bold, which tells you, whenever you're seeing bold in a textbook, that tells you that they're about to define that word. That's vocabulary words, why they put it in bold, or it might be in italics. So either right before where you see that bold or right after, that's your hint, you're about to get a definition. So now in my notes, I'm going to type over here, electrical field. Electrical field is a space around a charged particle where the particle exerts electric force on other particles. Now I can do a copy and paste. Since these aren't tabs, these are screens, you can copy and paste, not a problem. And if you want to see the whole notes, you hit your maximize up there. You can see all of your notes. If you want to go back to seeing the text, you hit minimize. You're seeing those at the same time. That's not going to help you at all to copy and paste. You've done the research, you will still fail the assignment. So we need to take that sentence and put it in our own words. Electric field, space around a charged particle. That's pretty important. I'll make it big so everybody can see what I'm talking about. Space around a charged particle. Anybody know what a charged particle is? I don't really remember either. So you need to develop a system of giving yourself hints in your notes of when you need to go back and add more information. The system I have developed is if I don't know something, I put in an underline and a couple of question marks inside parentheses. That is my signal. When I look at these notes later tonight, that little symbol right there tells me, oh, I need to go find a definition for charged particle. So I know now that an electric field is a charged particle where the particle exerts electric force on other particles. So I don't know what a charged particle is. I know that a force is a force, push or pull, because we've already studied that. Where a charged particle either pushes or pulls, spell, pushes or pulls other particles. Typing it in like that, where you're putting it in your own words, is going to put you into that A or B level student, the distinguished and proficient on our rubric. Copy and pasting is not going to help you learn the material. You already know how to copy and paste. You need to learn how to do the material. I can go back up here to my search bar and type in charged, and look, it's already as fast as I'm typing, finding what I'm looking for. So I can go back and type in charged particles and see if I can find a definition to put that back in my notes. So the splitter is something to make your life easier. If you prefer just having the open tabs and switching from one to the other, awesome. That's great. To me, it's a big time saver that I have the two things open at once. But you do not have to do it that way. You need to decide, try both. You decide what works best for you. So your first assignment for this unit, and all I'm doing is hitting the back, getting back into my Moodle, is to explain numbers 3, 4, and 5 of the MGSS. In our instructions that we talked about last week before we had all of our testing adventures, was kind of imagine you're talking to the 4th grade students. So you have a 4th grader come up and say, oh wow, you're at the School of Innovation, that's so cool, what are you studying in science? The explanation you give them is based on that NGSS. But if you read the NGSS to a 4th grader, do you think he'd have a clue what you're talking about? I know some seniors who read the NGSS and don't have a clue what it's talking about. So for certain, a 4th grader will. You should already have a file that you created last week for NGSS. But if you didn't, let's look at how you would create that. We gave you the NGSS right here in the middle. It's at the top. What we're studying is on page 56. So you just do that Control F, 56. Since things are running slow, I'm going to close some stuff out. Here we go. See, all I did was close some tabs and suddenly I'm running much faster. I do Control F, where my cursor is. I'm not looking for charged particle anymore. I need page 56. These arrows is how you navigate in the document to find what you were looking for. I'm at the bottom of page 56, so now I'm going to go to the top. So you can see it better, I'll make it bigger. All I've done is I've hidden my screen. See, down here at Google, I still have multiple screens running. You can think of these as like layers of paper, okay? So I have 3 screens running. When I have it large like that, they're hiding one behind the other. When I do a screen splitter, they're stepping out and standing side by side. So your project is the NGSS 3, 4, and 5. You should have already started when we broke into table groups and everybody had a different one to be looking at. But let's kind of look at that again. So number 3, ask questions about data to determine the factors that affect the strength of electric and magnetic forces. Those red words are important. So when you copy and paste these 3 things into your own Google Doc, make certain you copy all of those red words. And you'll see in a second why those red words are incredibly important. So number 3, ask questions about data to determine the factors that affect the strength of electric and magnetic forces. So you got the little 4th grader on the bus who comes up to you, yo, what are you studying in science? Yo, what are you studying in science? What are you going to tell that 4th grader? So look at number 3 and pick out the science topic. So looking at number 3, what's the topic of what you're studying? What's in number 3? The science stuff. Oh, we got somebody over here. Yes. Excellent. The science topic, number 3 is talking about, is electric and magnetic forces. It's at the end of the NGSS. But when you're taking that 4th grade on the bus, what you're studying, when you space down to put this in your own words, that end should be the first thing you type in. So you would space down underneath number 3 so you can have an area to work, and you'd say, we are studying electric and magnetic forces. The 4th grader's going to go, cool! What's that? I don't know. But you now have a resource. What can you go look at that's going to define electric and magnetic forces? There you go. You got that flex book now. So sentence 1 could say, we're studying electric and magnetic forces. An electric force is blah, blah, blah. Go to the flex book. Figure it out. A magnetic force is blah, blah, blah. You got the flex book. Figure it out. That's the first part of explaining to the 4th grader what you're studying. Oh, wow, that sounds cool. What are you doing with it? So looking back up at number 3, what are you doing with electric and magnetic forces? Let's get another volunteer. Nice of you to volunteer. So, what are you doing with electric and magnetic forces? Looking at number 3, there's words in that black part that tells you what you're going to be doing with those electric and magnetic forces. So what do you think you're going to do with it? Well, take a guess. Or you can phone a friend. Phone a friend, so you're up. So what are you going to do with those electric and magnetic forces? Are you asking questions about the data, or are you doing something else? No, you're on the right track. Look at the middle part of number 3. Determine the factors that affect what?
Strength.
Determine the factors that affect the strength. So we've got already typed up, we're studying electric and magnetic forces. An electric force is a blah blah. A magnetic force is a blah 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 blah. Oh, neat. What are you studying about it? Well, we're studying how factors affect the strength. Cool! What's that mean? What does that mean? Strength. What's strength mean? Strong, or in the opposite direction would be weak. Weak. So how strong or weak those forces are, and what does it mean about determining factors? What's a factor? Okay, different types of input, different types of answers. So your next sentence could be, well, we're studying all the different answers and items that affect how strong and weak those forces are. Oh, wow. How are you going to do it? So looking in that same number 3 black words, how are you going to do it? No. Black words give you the answer. How are you going to do it? Ask questions about what?
Strength.
No. You're asking questions not about strength. You're now asking questions about the data. Where do scientists get data? Okay, experiments. Where else can scientists get data? From a resource. Where else can scientists get data? Can you just look at the world around you and see information?
Yes.
Now look at those red words. Where for this particular thing are scientists going to get the data? Look at the red words now. No clarification statement just means the writers of NGSS are giving you more details about what those black words mean. So examples of data. Oh, wow, they're telling me what data I could use. Right there in those red words. So let's put this all together. 4th grader comes up to you on the bus. Oh, wow, you're at School of Innovation. That is so neat. What are you studying in science? Well, we're studying about electric and magnetic forces. Cool, what's that? Well, an electric force is a blah, blah, blah. Magnetic magnetic forces of blah, blah, blah. You're going to find those blah, blahs in that flex book. Neat. What are you studying about it? Well, we're studying how different information, different events affects how strong and weak those forces are. Neat. How you going to do it? Well, we're going to be looking at, and now you go to those red words. That tells you how you're going to do it. Well, we're going to be looking at electromagnetic forces and how the number of turns of the wire affects those. And we're going to be doing experiments and looking at data about how increasing the number of strengths of the magnets can affect an electric motor. Wow, that's neat. You studied anything else? Now you're ready to talk about number 4. I just gave you all the answers to number 3. Why are you not typing? We just answered all together number 3. You can put in almost word for word what we just talked about. But let's look at how you are now going to do 4 and 5. So where in the NGSS are you going to see the what you're studying? Where are you going to find the science stuff that you're studying in number 4? Is it at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the NGSS? The end. So when you're reading the NGSS, the end of the black is the science topic you're going to be studying about. What about that topic are you going to be evaluating? Or what about that topic are you going to be really looking at the details? Is that the beginning or the middle part of the NGSS? The middle. Every time I say the middle. So here in the middle is what you're doing with this topic. How are you going to do it is the beginning of the NGSS. Details of what you're doing is in the red. So when you're reading NGSS, kind of ask yourself when you read it, what's the science stuff we're studying? That's probably going to be at the end of the NGSS. Well, what are we going to do with that science stuff? That's probably in the middle part of the black words. Well, how are we going to do those things is the first of the black words. And then the red words give you details. So for number 4 and 5, what you're going to be doing is you're going to have that imaginary 4th grader coming up to you on the bus. Wow, so you told me yesterday about these electric and magnetic forces that you were studying with the string. And you told me yesterday how you're going to do some experiments where you're looking at all the different stuff that changes how strong and weak those forces are. That sounds really awesome. What else are you studying? Now you're going to tell them based on number 4 what else you're studying. And then on Wednesday, the same 4th grader comes up and, wow, that was so neat. Well, what else are you studying in science? And now you're going to tell them about number 5. Your explanation to get a satisfactory or outstanding when you get to turn this assignment in should be longer than that one sentence of black words. Your explanation is probably going to be 4 or 5 sentences for number 3 and 4 or 5 sentences for number 4. And number 5's got a lot. Might be 6 or 7 sentences. The order of your explanation is not going to match the order of those black words. Your explanation should not start out talking about asking questions about data. Wrong. No. Your explanation should start out with what science stuff are you studying? That's going to be at the end of the NGSS. Your explanation, if you use a science word like electrical forces, he's a 4th grader. You're going to have to explain to him what an electrical force is. But you now have the resource of a flex book and your notes. So if you looked at the flex book and wrote a good note about what an electrical force is, now you could copy and paste that into your NGSS explanation. That's a time you could use copy and paste. Taking the notes is not a time to use copy and paste. Using your notes for something else is a time to use copy and paste. So your first assignment for Unit 2 is to take numbers 3, 4, and 5, explain what you're studying in science to a 4th grader, and then read it to yourself. You just now explain what your project has to do. This isn't the thesaurus game. That's what we wound up playing by Unit 1 by mistake, and it didn't go as great as we had hoped. So this is not an activity to just look at word data and go to the thesaurus and put in a new word for data. This is an explanation. Talking to that little fourth grader, what are you studying in science? It's all here in the NDSS. You just have to know how to read it. Go to the science topic first. The middle part tells you the details or what you're going to do to that science topic. And the beginning tells you how you're going to do it. You will not be able to get into Unit 2 to turn in this assignment until hopefully Sunday, because by Sunday at 9 p.m. we will have graded everything turned in for Unit 1. So hopefully you have been one of those people who has turned in their project and has all of Unit 1 done, which means by Monday morning you can turn in this assignment for Unit 2. If that is not you, and you've turned in 3 or 4 of those small assignments, so like in Unit 1 this week, you've turned in a planning sheet and a contract and maybe a nursery rhyme. So on Monday, your Unit 1 project will be released automatically by Moodle and you get to turn in the project. The projects we are trying to grade as we get them, not just on Sundays. With testing, it's been slow this week, but next week, not as much testing. So we're grading the projects as fast as we can. You can still do Unit 2 work. You can do it in a Google Doc and have it ready to go so that once you get released in Moodle, you can put that work in. So we have right at 10 minutes left. I will not answer questions about Unit 1 Science. If you need help with Unit 1 Science, you need to come to the science teacher during advisory. We are no longer spending class time on Unit 1. It's over, done, and put to bed. I will answer questions on how to do this assignment for Unit 2. Unit 1 is now homework, night work, and advisory time. We are not spending any more class time on Unit 1 materials. So I'm going to be coming around and talking to you only about Unit 2. If you still need Unit 1 help, we need to see you in this room during advisory. You have built-in study hall time in your schedule every day where you can go get help from your different teachers. So we are now in Unit 2. Unit 1's done.